Okay. So very good morning to Anandal and very good morning to all the students. Okay. So welcome to VLSI class once again. Okay. Now let's go to the last previous class. We discussed about delay unit, right? We discussed about the delay unit and also how to measure or how to calculate inverter pair delay, right? This is NMOS technology as well as the CMOS technology. So now in this class, we are going to estimate the CMOS inverter delay once again. Okay, the estimation of the formal estimation of CMOS inverter delay. Okay, so just observe here, right? So the formal estimation of CMOS inverter delay. So as we know that at the output you're having so in the inverter CMOS inverter circuits are this NMOS inverter circuit. Basically, we are having the output a complex load. Okay, the complex load. That means the output is not a resistive. Okay, the output is not a resistive. So we can consider the complex load. That is nothing but the input impedance of the next stage is nothing but the output impedance of the input capacitance. Input capacitance of the next stage is nothing but the output capacitance of the output load of the first stage. Okay, so the output capacitance of the first stage. So this output capacitance is like a complex load. So therefore, you can analyze the behavior of this. What is the behavior of the delay? Okay, so let us assume that now in this case, we know that first we can consider because the charging and discharging of this capacitor. Okay, so the charging and discharging of this capacitor, we are having the rise time and fall time. We will exist a rise time and a fall time. So that rise time and fall time we can estimate in this analysis. Okay, how to estimate the rise time and fall time of the CMOS inverter, right? Now let's assume that first let us consider the rise time estimation. Okay, rise time estimation. That means the rise time indicates that not for the input, but we have to consider the output. Rise time, output signal will rises towards the VDD. When the output voltage rises towards the VDD, when the pull down transistor is off and pull up transistor is in on condition. Okay, so therefore, when the pull down transistor is off, when pull up transistor is on, so at what that is the main thing. At what input voltage this pull down transistor is off and the pull up transistor is on. So assume that when the input changes from high to low, when the input changes from high to low, so this transistor, the pull down transistor is off condition. Okay, the input initially rises VGS, so it rises from towards the zero level, so the transistor bit turns off and this transistor is turns on. Okay, now here we are assuming that with the p-type transistor, so what in this case we are assuming that when the p-type transistor stays in a saturation for entire charging period of this capacitor. Okay, so because the capacitor charges to the value of VDD when this transistor is turns on, so therefore for entire charging period of this capacitor, this transistor is always operating in the saturation region. Okay, this operating in the saturation region. That's why we are going to represent this transistor as a current source. Okay, so this is basically a current. So the pull-up transistor is current source now in this case. So therefore, and we know the equation of a drain current in the saturation. Okay, equation of the drain current in the saturation of the field effect transistor will be p-type or n-type. Okay, so in the saturation, what is the current? So because the p-type, this is the p-type transistor is in saturation. So therefore, we are having the formula beta p divided by 2 into VGS minus VT whole square. Okay, that is the case. So now here P is the P-type transistor. So beta P into VGS minus VTP, because this is the threshold voltage of the P-type transistor, and we are taking the magnitude because the P-type transistor threshold voltage is negative. Okay, so therefore we are taking the magnitude whole square. Okay, so that's why this is the equation of a drain current when the transistor is entering into saturation region. Okay, where VGS is the gate to source voltage, VTP is the threshold voltage of the transistor, and beta is the technology dependent, whose value is depends on Kp into Wp by Lp. Okay, beta P. Right? Now, just remember here. So now, so this is the equation of a drain current in the saturation. Okay, so how to find out the current now in this case? For this case, we can go for the next slide in this case. Just observe here. So here, when the input is low state, that means high to low state. So this transistor is turns off and this transistor is turns on. So the capacitor will be charges towards the value of VDD, so that we are having the equation is the drain current is saturation. Okay. So now when the the capacitor charges to the value of VDD with this current IDSP. So we know the formula for this current in terms of capacitance value and the value of voltage across it. That means I is equal to C into dV by dt. Assuming that in this case, since the entire charging period, this current is constant. Okay, this current is because the transistor in saturation, the current is always constant, so that we can consider that I is equal to C into output voltage divided by the time amount of time taken. Okay, V out by T, dV by dt, C dV by dt. So dV is the constant when the transistor is not when the current is not changing, so that we can consider dV by just V by T. So where V is the output voltage divided by T. Okay, where output voltage similarly divided by T. So that I is equal to C into V out by T. So from this equation, we are assuming that V out is equals the current IDSP into T divided by capacitance CL. This capacitor charges to the value of VDD. So capacitor CL. So, and as you know that the IDSP, there is the current, the transistor is in saturation for this input voltage. So we are having Vp by 2, okay, Vp by 2, VGS minus VTP, magnitude of VTP whole square, because the transistor is in saturation, right? Since the transistor is in saturation, we are having this is the now substitute now in this case. So substituting this equation in this equation. Okay, we are going to substitute that equation in this equation. Okay, this equation in this equation. So therefore, V out is equals just substituting. Okay, IDSP into T divided by CL. IDSP can be replaced by here. Bp by 2 CL into T, VGS minus VTP whole magnitude whole square. Okay, this is the equation. Now rearranging this equation here, Bp by 2 CL, VGS minus magnitude of VTP whole square into this T is here. Okay, and solve for T. Okay, solve for from this equation, solve for T. T is equals, okay, T is equal, what is the value? 2 CL into V out divided by beta P into VGS minus VTP magnitude whole square. This is the equation you get. Okay, so this is T, the equation of the T. Now, as you know that when the transistor output voltage is changes from 0 to 2 and charges to the capacitor charges to VDD with the exponential form, because you are having a time RC time constant here. Okay, that means the input voltage, when the input voltage changes, suddenly changes, the output voltage takes some time to respond to that input voltage. So therefore, it depends upon the time constants of the system. So therefore, the capacitor voltage slowly rises like this and reaches the magnitude of VDP. Okay. So therefore, at some few time constant, so this voltage reaches the maximum value, but at one time constant, you are having the voltage is equal to 0.63 times the value of maximum voltage, okay, VDD. So therefore, after 5 time constant, there is 90%. Rise time is nothing but the signal is vary from 10% to its 90% of its final voltage. Okay, the signal vary from rises. What is the rise time? Basically, the time at which the output voltage or output signal vary from 10% of its final voltage to the 90% of its final voltage. So that voltage you can consider as a rise time. Okay. So therefore, assuming that 10% is very less value compared to the zero, higher value, just very nearer to zero. So we can take the zero level. So 90% of its final voltage is here. So this voltage minus this voltage is nothing but the rise time of the transistor. This is the rise time. Okay. So this rise time is equal to, that means here approximately equals to the value of VDD. So at T is equals to TR. At T is equals to TR, you will get a maximum voltage, that is maximum voltage across the capacitor, that is equals to the value of VDD. So we are going to substitute at T is equals to TR. Okay, at T is equals to TR, output voltage is approximately equals to VDD. Okay, output voltage approximately equals to VDD. So substituting this equation in the above in this equation. So T replaced by TR and Vout replaced by VDD. So therefore, TR is equal to CL into VDD by BP into VDD minus VDP magnitude whole square. This square is not here. Strike off this one and place the square 2 here. Okay, VDD whole square. Next, substituting all these values at T is equals to, so at T is equals to, means substituting threshold voltage of the P-type transistor. So magnitude of, actually the threshold voltage of the P-type transistor is negative. So therefore, we are assuming that it is equals to 0.2 times the value of VDD. So therefore, magnitude of VDP is equal to 0.2 times the value of VDD, substituting here. Okay. So just substituting this equation here, in this equation, what you will get? So substituting 0.2 times the value of VDD in this equation, so we'll get TR is equals to 2 into CL into VDD divided by beta P into VDD minus 0.2 times the value of VDD whole square, VDD, and this value is equals to whole square here. Not clear. Okay, so this is the total value. Now that is equals to substituting all these values, 2 CL VDD, and this is VDD square, and this becomes 0.04 VDD minus, so this total is equals to beta P into beta P into VDD minus 0.04 VDD square. 0. VDD whole square. Right. So you finding these all these values, VDD minus 0. Is nothing but approximately it is equal to 0.996, I think. Okay, 0.996. So dividing all these values approximately, you get 2.83 times the value of the CL by beta P into VDD. So it is approximately equals to 3 times the value of CL divided by beta P into VDD. Okay, we get this value, right? So now, substituting all these values, you'll get this equation. Rise time is equals to 3 times CL divided by beta P into VDD, right? Just remember here now. So this is the TR is equal to 3 into CL divided by beta P times the value of VDD, right? Now substituting, this is the rise time, just remember. Okay, this is the rise time calculation in this case. So TR is equals to 3 times CL into divided by beta P into VDD level. So rise time is equal to this equation, right? Similarly, we can find out the fall time estimation. Similarly, you can find the fall time estimation, right? Now let's go to fall time estimation. Okay, so when the fall time estimation will exist now, okay, so when the output is, when the pull down transistor is turns on, okay, capacitor will be discharges. So that is called discharging period, depends upon the fall time of the signal. So therefore, to estimate this fall time estimation, we can consider that the pull down transistor is on condition and pull up is transistor is off condition. Okay, when the pull up transistor is on condition, pull down transistor is on condition, when the input signal is changes from VDD line to 0 to VDD line. So therefore, this transistor be turns on, right? So and the output voltage across the capacitor is nothing but Vout. Okay, this is the case. That means the output is now drops to 0 level, towards the 0 level. Okay, VDD line towards the 0 level. So therefore, the initial voltage at this point is VDD line. Okay, so once again, so here VDD line input voltage changes from 0 to VDD line. So therefore, initial voltage is VDD. Once again, input voltage is VDD. You have to consider. So therefore, so the similar expressions in this case we are going to estimate here. Similar to the fall time estimation. So then we can write simply we can write TF is equals to 3 times the value of CL divided by beta N. Instead of beta P, we use beta N into VDD, because just observe here. So in the previous case, input signal changes from 1 to 0. So initial voltage we can consider VDD. Okay, so the transistor input voltage is VDD. Here also the initial voltage is changing from high to low. So we can consider that the output voltage, input voltage is again here also VDD. So by substituting all these values at T is equal to tau R, the output voltage is again, we are going to substitute the same. VDD is equal to, Vout is equals to VDD. So again, we can substitute all these things in this case, get beta N into VDD. Okay, so TF is equals to 3 times the value of CL, 3 times the value of CL into beta N by VDD you will get at this point, right? The same expression, same thing you can write, you will get the answer. TF is equal to 3 times CL by beta times the value of VDD approximately. Now from this about discussion, so TF is, we know the TF is equal to 3 times the value of CL divided by beta P into VDD. Similarly, TF is equal to 3 times the value of CL divided by beta N into VDD. So dividing TR by TF. Okay, now substituting equations here. Okay, these equations can be reduced like this. TR by TF is equals to 3 into CL divided by beta P into VDD into beta N into VDD by 3 into CL. Substituting all these things here. So we'll get TF by TR is equals to beta N by beta P. Okay, beta N by beta P. We'll get this equation. Now we know that, and we know that because depending upon the mobilities of the N channel and the mobilities of the P channel transistor, so always the mobility of the N channel transistor is higher than the mobility of the P channel ABT. Okay, and this approximation is equal to N is approximately equal to 2.5 times the value of P. Okay, already we discussed on we derived this equation in the previous classes. Okay, so because the mobility of electron is 640 square centimeters per volt second, and mobility of hole is approximately 240 square centimeters per volt second. So depending upon that, we are getting the voltage, we are getting the mobility of electron is approximately equals to 2.5 times the value of mu p. Okay, so this is the condition. Okay, at this condition, what happened? Beta n is equal to again equals to 2.5 times the value of beta p, because beta is equals to k into w by l, and k is equal to epsilon naught epsilon into ins into mu by d, thickness of the oxide layer, right? Now beta n is equal to this value epsilon naught ins divided by d is constant for both p channel and n channel. Only the mobility is mu n and mu p will be different. Okay, it will be mu n and this is mu p. So from this equation, if the mobility of electron is of the n-channel FET is higher than the mobility in this case, holds in this case, so it is equal to 2.5 times the value of mu p. Okay, substituting in this case, you can say that beta n is equals to 2.5 times the value of beta p, right? Beta n is equals to 2.5 times the value of beta p. Therefore, we can say that Tf by Tr is equals to, now just see, is replacing beta n by 2.5 times the value of beta p. With 2.5 into beta p by beta p cancels here. So Tr by Tf is equal to 2.5 times. Okay, 2.5. So that means rise time is equals to 2.5 times the value of the fall time. Okay, rise time is equals to 2.5 times the value of the fall time. Just remember here. Okay, so we can say that rise time is slower than the other fall time, because the fall time is very fast compared to the rise time by the factor of 2.5. So therefore, there is a condition you remember. So rise time is equal to 2.5 times the fall time, right? So from this equation, we can analyze that we are assuming that in this case, for minimum size transistor, remember, for minimum size transistor, so this condition is satisfied. Okay, that means 2.5 times the value of Tr can be satisfied only when, if we consider the minimum size transistors for both the N and P transistor in the CMOS design style. Okay, so in the CMOS design style, we can assume that both the P channel FET and N channel FET, the pull up and pull down transistors are minimum size. Then we get this condition. So okay, this condition, remember. So from the above equations, we can say that particularly for rise time and fall time, we can conclude that rise time and fall times are proportional to 1 by VDD, because from this equation is inversely proportional to VDD, and F also inversely proportional to VDD. That means we can say that it is proportional to 1 by VDD. Okay, so therefore rise time and fall time both are proportional to 1 by VDD. Similarly, rise time and fall time both are proportional to load capacitance. Similarly, rise time is equal to, from this equation, rise time is equal to 2.5 times the value of Vf for equal values of P and N transistor geometry. Okay, that is about the today's class. Okay, we'll discuss remaining topic in the next class. Okay, bye now. Meet you tomorrow next week, next class. I'm going to stop the screen now.